So for those of us who are interested in understanding the reality, I mean, there's this word liberation is being thrown around nowadays, right? In the New Age spiritual processes, the word awakening is being thrown around a lot. But I just want to bring clarity to that word. To be awakened, to climb the ladder of liberation, creates a lot of confusion to the myopic vision of ourselves and our worldview. So it takes a slow washing away. It has to be a slow process. It cannot be an instant process. It's a slow washing away, clearing of that lens until we begin to not only see, but also realize that this tree of life, this tree of existence, had always had its roots in the source. We were never separate from it. And all we are trying to do is flower some of that spirit on this earth. That's all that's happening. 2 years ago, during the pandemic, I created a course where I translated the entire Japji Sahib text, this text of Awakening Sutras of Japji Sahib. I translated it from Gurmukhi to English, and then created a whole course where we go line by line, word by word, and unpack the abundance of wisdom and the clearing solution for our distorted lens. So I find when I come across people and they ask me this very interesting question, they say, Priya, why did you price this course at this amount? Just because it is spiritual in nature, don't you think you should be giving it for free? And that's where I say, my loves, clear the lens of what's of value to you. How much would you spend on a vacation just to get a few moments of quiet relaxation, possibly great pictures for your social media, right? How much would you spend on that? And what are you getting from this? What would you get from this? This unseen, intangible, imperceptible treasure that is filled with so many flavors that will brighten your entire existence. It will not directly help you make 6 figures income, not directly. But once you get to know who you are and how to exist in this world, how to play the game of life, don't you think you will find success in everything you do? What is that worth to you? Do you understand what I'm saying? This is the difference between what is real, what are the real diamonds, and what looks like diamonds that we are chasing after. And that is the reason I find everywhere we look nowadays, there is such an epidemic of inner poverty. There's not much abundance in us that we can share with each other. So here are a few lines for you. Amul gun, amul vapar, amul vapariye, amul bhandar. Of course, this is in Gurmukhi. Amul, this is a word that means priceless. It is priceless. Invaluable are the qualities that lend to countless interconnected dealings. Incalculable are the traders, and priceless are the stockpiles of traded experiences. So Guru Nanak very sweetly, very intelligently uses a metaphor here. He says, come with such abundance of resources. Your prana, number one, your life force, your emotions, your ability to connect and perceive the world, your sensory system, your physical body. Just if you were to pause today and notice what are all the abundance of gifts that you were sent into this world with. How much abundance were you sent into this world with? And how poor do you claim you are? He says, invaluable are the qualities that lend to countless interconnected dealings. The number one resource the universe, the source intelligence placed in us, is this ability to interact, to exchange our prana, our life force, in order to have interconnected experiences with each other, to gather the experiences that my particular soul needs to fulfill this cycle of my existence. So whatever I need to fulfill all the experiences that my soul intended for me for this lifetime, all those resources have already been placed within me. And he says, isn't it amazing the interchange, the exchange of experiences that we have with each other? Talk about gratitude. What would happen if you lost your voice today, or your sense of hearing, or your mental capacity just halfway, just half of your mental capacity? What would happen? Would you be able to experience the interchange that happens between you and others? This exchange of experiences that you have, would you be able to receive those experiences? And how many experiences do you get to have in your lifetime? I think that's when we mourn somebody who passes away early from, at a younger age. Deep within us, we don't really mourn their demise. We mourn the possibility of experiences that they had awaiting them, but they didn't have them. They couldn't have them. Invaluable are the qualities that lend to countless interconnected dealings. We are like traders of experiences, and we are all given such abundance in our warehouse that we can have a lot of dealings with each other. We can trade experiences. Incalculable are the traders. Every being on this planet, whether it's a dog, a cat, a mouse, an avocado tree, a plant, a rose bush that gives you so much joy when you actually gaze at that rose, when you allow yourself to have an interconnected experience with that rose. It's silent, but doesn't it fill you up with abundance? He says, incalculable are the traders. So everything, everywhere you go, each thing has been set up to have that source code, that prana, that ability to reflect back and forth in different ways. Your dog has a very limited capacity. Your cat has a limited capacity. As a human being, we have much more of a capacity to express and share. But each one is having an experience that it's sharing and reflecting back on. Amul ave, amul le jaye, amul bhai, amul la samay. Priceless is the process of coming and going. Priceless, the process of love. And priceless, the process of merger. Exhale is called for when you hear words like this. Priceless is the process of coming and going. If you were to zoom out of your limited life, this limited lens through which you view life and existence, and actually ponder the question of death. They say the best teacher who can teach you how to live, if you want to learn from a teacher how to live, you must go to the God of death. From that perspective, you will understand how priceless this process of coming and going is. How each of our souls has, again, an endless abundance capacity to take its time to fulfill the soul's needs, to fulfill the soul's experiences that it wants to have. So if you don't finish those experiences in this lifetime, you come back again. This process of coming and going is so intelligent. The process of reincarnation is so intelligently set up. But we can't see that. We are constantly in anxiety of that FOMO. We're missing out on something. We're missing out on something. Our soul is knocking on all of us. There's no human being on this planet whose soul is not knocking at their heart and saying, honey, what are you doing? Can I have the experiences that I came here to have? May I please have those? But the mind and the ego are running after something different. The mind and the ego are running after the cubic zirconias. And the soul is saying, honey, there's a diamond, go get it. Go talk and engage with that human being. Maybe you don't know them. Go hug this person. Go look into the eyes of that dog. Go smile at that baby. So if you do these very subtle things, you will understand what love is. And the more you allow yourself to receive what the soul wants to receive in your experiences, and not keep shutting it down behind the ruse of, I need to be practical. I can do this right now. I don't have time for this mumbo jumbo right now. Soul is very subtle. It doesn't require too much. Simple mindfulness is all that is needed. And that's when you understand how precious the process is of this existence, how limited our time is on this planet. And then also to appreciate the intelligence that created the process of coming and going. None of us came into this existence by our ego's desire. Did we? Did we make it happen? Did you know who you were before you were given a name, an earthly name? Do you know who you are beyond the identity that everybody assumes that you are? Priceless is the process of love, and priceless the process of merger. Do you know why we cannot ever make a tangible amount, we can never assign an amount to the process of present parenthood, present mothering, conscious parenthood? Do you know why we can never put a price on that? Do you know why a stay-at-home mother or a stay-at-home parent in the social perspective is considered like they are not doing anything? Because we can't put a price on it. It is not part of our national GDP calculation. So anyone who does that, I was a stay-at-home mom for a while, and everyone I would meet is like, so what do you do? I would say, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I raise my child. I create the environment in my home. And immediately I would realize that in their mind, they're thinking, I don't do anything. I'm not productive. I don't bring any money, any finances into the family. If you pause here, you will again see that distortion. What is the value of a present parent with a child? We are watching in this world the consequences of children feeling so disconnected and unnurtured and unseen, which is leading to such almost like an epidemic of anxiety and depression, a disconnection and apathy. Or we can overdo it out of guilt. Most overdoing of parenthood happens out of guilt because they feel conflicted between wanting to be present and also being productive. So everything that is real, nurturing within a relationship, if you have a partner, do you know how priceless nurturing is? Present to each other. Can you put a value to that? And how often do you ignore that to chase entertainment experiences? Just pausing, just questioning. And you will have to be very real with yourself to be able to see this tree right side up. Priceless is the process of love. Do you put value to the process of love, not just achieving love, not just achieving someone in your life that has another label, a husband, a wife, a spouse, a significant other? But the process of love is the real thing. Even if there is no label to it, if you can experience the process of love, you have arrived at the diamonds. Priceless is the process of merger. For those of you who are trying to blossom and extend your branches towards the earth and merge the spirit and the earth together, you know you have glimpses of that pricelessness. But don't you hear your mind that says, what are you doing wasting half hour on meditating when you could be doing all these chores, you could be finishing them? You have so much to take care of today. Do you not hear that voice? In that moment, if you were to remind how priceless this is, I want to go after the diamond. The glass can wait. It's important to have the glass, but this is priceless. Amul dharam, amul diban, amul tul, amul parvan. Priceless are the laws of dharma, and priceless is the divine court. Priceless is the divine assessment scale, and priceless are the measures of refinement. Oh, there's so much said just in these two sentences. Such depth to explore. Priceless are the laws of dharma. This whole system is set up by laws of cause and effect. And dharma is when we are following what our cause is to create the effect that our soul desires. That is our dharma individually. This whole system is set up with these laws of dharma. And he says, oh my God, how priceless is this play. Priceless is the divine court. You know, we have this cartoonish idea that when we die, or even as we are alive, there's like somebody is out there gauging if we've been naughty or nice, like Santa's waiting and checking against all of our actions and choices. There is no one outside of us. That court where we are measured against our dharma and karma is residing within us. We are presiding that court within us all the time. And it is priceless how that works. Within our consciousness, there is something that records everything that we are doing, saying, thinking. And it matches that with what our assignment, what our soul wants to think, feel, and be. That is all. And within this court, we are passing verdicts. It's like, honey, you're not done right now. You're not done with this assignment that you were given. Go back and redo it again. But this court is not punishing. It is a court of justice within us. And most of us, I find, are very unjust to ourselves. We can be an activist in the world, be a voice of justice to everyone else. Have you ever stepped into your own inner court, been the plaintiff, been the defendant, been the judge? Is that judge fair? Do you find yourself being fair to yourself? Checking in. It's a priceless process to know with refinement what I am, what my worth is. Don't just pass judgment on yourself without knowing the pros and the cons, before knowing why you have the gifts that you have, before tossing them out and comparing yourself to someone else. Priceless is the divine assessment scale, the scale on which the universe assesses us. It's priceless. It is absolutely fair. It is based in our own cause and effect. No one else is imposing this cause and effect on us. And priceless are the measures of refinement. So the scales by which we assess ourselves, by our soul, the way it assesses us is by, this was your assignment as a soul. Did you finish it? How close are you to finishing that? Did you experience the experiences you were meant to trade with, the people you were meant to trade it with? Are you holding it back? So the suffering that we experience in our life happens when we are not engaging in what we are meant to engage. And that suffering brings us that awakening. It begins a process where we are forced to refine what we are not doing. We are forced to refine our actions. We are forced to refine our thoughts. We are forced to refine how we interact with each other. That is the spiritual journey, isn't it? For all of you who are on the spiritual path, didn't something terrible happen that pushed you in this process of wanting to know what more there is to you, to life? That is the process of refinement. So from the perspective of where Guru Nanak was downloading this awakened lens, he was just in awe. He was like, wow, this is why we have suffering. This is how suffering and joy work together. It is suffering that propels us towards the light. So these are the measures of refinement through which we balance the scale back into harmony again. I can keep going on. Japji, as most of you know, is my passion project. But if this calls you, you can either find the book of translation. This is my version of the translation from Gurmukhi to English. It's Awakening Sutras of Japji Sahib. It's on Amazon. And thank you for joining me today. Next Monday, we'll bring in another mystic. I look forward to seeing you then and continuing lighting this light from one to another until the whole world is lit.